Ben kart vereyim size.
Can you follow me?
Yes.
Geçen senede bir başka yönetim kurulu üyemiz buradaydı. Hişam, lütfen. Fas'tan, burada hatırlayanlarınız olacaktır. Bir şekilde dünya ile İnegöl'ü bir araya getiriyoruz. Bu kapanış oturumumuz. Ben öncelikle SİRİNİ'den kendisini tanıtmasını isteyeceğim. SİRİNİ'nin hikayesi ilginç. Hindistan'da doğmuş, Hindistan'da eğitim almış. Bugün Kaliforniya'da, Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nde şirket sahibi. Amerika Birleşik Devletleri, Hindistan, Japonya ve birkaç başka ülkede şirketinin şubeleri var. Bir tasarımcı. Ve Dünya Tasarım Örgütü'ne liderlik yapacak önümüzdeki 2 sene boyunca. Hindistan bizim gibi bir ülke. Merkez bir ülke değil. Emerging dedikleri bu. Yeni sanayileşen ülkelerden bir tanesi. Ve bu yeni sanayileşen ülkeler Çin'iyle, Hindistan'ıyla, Brezilya'sıyla, Türkiye'siyle dünya sanayisinde, dünya ekonomisindeki hak ettikleri yeri talep ediyorlar. Ve aslında hepimizin bu dünya uluslararası ortamlarındaki bulunması, yer alması, boy göstermesi de bir paralel gelişme diye düşünüyorum. Ve ben sözü SİRİNİ'ye bırakacağım. Önce kendisini, kendi hikayesini SİRİNİ'den dinleyelim. Sonra da başkanlık yapacağı, benim de yönetim kurulu üyesi olduğum Dünya Tasarım Örgütü'nü kendisi tanıtacak. Evet.
Thank you, Alpay. So, first of all, good evening, everybody. So, I don't like to sit, so just bear with me. I would like to, on behalf of World Design Organization, it's indeed a privilege and my pleasure to be part of this wonderful event today. I also learned a lot of things about the city of Inegöl. And I would like to thank personally Hussein Bhai, as we say in India, is Hussein Bey, and also Ahmed Bhai. We say Ahmed Bey in the Turkish. So we have a lot of similarities, as Alpay mentioned, between the Turkish language and the Indian language, which is the Hindi. So when we come to these countries, we always listen to those words and we feel more closer because these languages bringing us together. Even though you don't understand the rest of it, but these key words are something that, makes us come together. So in that sense, I'm really, really thankful for inviting me. And also, I would like to thank MOSFED, especially for recognizing the need that they should be part of the global platform such as World Design Organization. It was not an easy decision. It was not a normal decision for a furniture manufacturing association to be part of the World Design Organization. To that extent, I really want to thank you for supporting and being part of the global platform that can raise the profile of the cities. So therefore, as part of the MOSFED, IMOS, and all of you who are involved in the industry, you become part of the global family, which is called World Design Organization. So I'm going to quickly run because I don't like to spend a lot of time in presentation and repeat because people can read. I believe in the intelligence of the people, so we can quickly read. And what we have done in 2015, the UN changed the goals from Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals because they believed that we need to really protect ourselves. So how many of us are in this audience who are below 30, including me? Below 30 years? Wow, that's an amazing, there you go. That's an amazing thing because you are the ones who need to protect the world. And you need to make sure that we don't destroy the world because we have had our own time. We really enjoyed a great amount of luxury. But now the time has come for us, for the youth in this world, to take care of ourselves for the current generation, for people like us, for the rest of our lives, as well as a whole lot of time that is available for the younger generation. So please pay attention to the Sustainable Development Goals. You can really contribute a lot in terms of what you can do to save this world. Okay. So I'm going to show a small movie. We were called as ICSID, for those of you who remember. People always ask me, why did you guys change the name? So we were actually we are 62 years old as an organization, internationally well acclaimed, and we were started to protect the profession of industrial design and promote the use of industrial design. But subsequently, the industrial design actually kind of started expanding and expanding, shrinking in some ways and expanding in other ways. We actually embraced a lot of other branches, namely, the service design and user experience design, universal design, interaction design. So all of these became part of design. So we had a tough time changing and convincing those of us who are industrial designers to drop the word industrial from our companies or the organization's name. So now we have become an expanded design. So what do we do? So we actually we just saw how we became industrial design, and these are the ones that we do. Okay. So these are the programs that we do, as we saw briefly. World Design Capital is a program. One of the goals that I have as I take the presidency is to make sure smaller cities like Inegol to become the World Design Capital. Why not? Why it should be only for cities that are having 20 million people or 40 million people? We should make the design world and the design community go to smaller communities who are 200,000, 300,000. There's no numbers that needs to be worried about. We need to really make sure as a city, we come together and celebrate. So one of the goals that I have for myself during the next 2 years, 2.5 years, is to make sure we reach out to smaller cities and not only worry about the London, San Francisco, New York, or Paris. They don't need design. They already know a lot of design. But smaller communities that could benefit. In fact, I remember one of the questions that came up was, as an industrial designer, as a design company, how do I survive? This is a huge, huge challenge. So part of the reason why I'm actually, Alpai was very kindly introducing me that I have all over the branches. It's not out of my desire, but it's out of desperation. Because as a design company, you cannot survive, then you need to keep on moving. It's like a nomadic world. You do this particular business, like AJ was saying, you first become an interior designer, but then to survive, you need to do something else. So that's for all of us who have chosen the profession of design, we are in the reality that we need to be nomadic in some sense. Don't be stuck in a place because you studied some branch of design. So you need to learn to move super fast so that, you can be alive and kicking. So that's what I did, went to different markets. So it's still a small company. So I just try to manage myself, balancing in the air so that, we can be there. Unlike other product companies, they good one product and they can really make a big killing. But in a design, you're designing for others. You're designing for the users. So there's always change. So in terms of our other programming, I would like to propose for a smaller city, maybe a World Design Talks. It's a one-day event where we pick one of the sustainable development goals. We all have those goals around us. Removing poverty, having a more healthier lifestyle. How do we make less wastage? How do we make responsible consumption? All of these are among us. So we need to pick the one that is more relevant to our city and then bring people who can talk about it to make the noise more. People are talking about SDG all the time. I talk on an average every 2 weeks, but it's still not enough because we need to talk more. We need to really make sustainable development as our goal so that it's becoming second nature. After breathing, we should be looking at SDG because that's what is going to save us for this generation as well as for the other generations. So these are our current members. If people are wondering, oh, you're a world body, how come you have only 165 members? But imagine if MOSFET is one member, but we don't count the other members of MOSFET, but they are automatically become members of us. So therefore, we could run into, we don't compete with our members. So therefore, we are happy to have one membership and the benefit should go to all the members of the association. So therefore, we are global, we are present in a lot of countries. And what do? We actually inspire. Why am I coming here? What is in it for me? I have nothing other than to just inspire people, motivate them. And how do we activate? What can I do for you? Exchange, dialogues, share the knowledge of other communities. And we are all the ambassadors of design. voluntarily taking this responsibility of being in the board of the, for example, Alpay is the first Turkish board member, very proudly, and he's doing his third term, which again, why is he doing? You know, it takes a lot of our time, but we want to really push the agenda of design within our communities. So therefore, we want to actually inspire through these meetings, and then we want to activate you most actively, whatever you can do. So these are problems that we have already seen. Everybody has talked. You know, morning Claudia was saying some of them. So food and water shortage, you know, climatic change and urbanization. But that's not going to stop us from doing most of it. We'll continue to go towards big cities because big cities are also trendy. That's what we learned in the morning. Big cities are trendy, so we want to be more trendier, so we go to the bigger cities. So obviously that creates a lot of problem. And for a lot of us, the current generation, in the world, you know, people were measuring that if you do not have 2.2 kids, I don't know how the 0.2 kids will come, but if you don't have 2.2 kids per couple, then the human race is kind of going down. But currently, in a set, other than India and maybe China, I don't know about Turkey, but the current childbirth rate is around 1.6 or something. So we are actually kind of going down. So therefore, that's going to leave you with the aging population problem where we have, in our societies, especially I come from India, I know that in China as well as in Turkey, we take care of our parents. We just don't leave them. Don't say like, Happy Mother's Day, Happy Father's Day, and see you later, Mom and Dad, you know. So we really take care of them. So it's a real problem for certain economies and certain countries in the world. We really have to take care of our aged parents. So that's one of the challenges that we have adopted, we have embraced, and now we are finding solutions. How can we do that? And overpopulation, we already know that. So as World Design Organizations, among these 17 goals, we have taken these 7 as our key area. So one of them, the most important one is the 11th one, I don't know if you can read, sustainable cities and communities. That kind of encompasses the entire problems that are there in cities. So if you take care of these other 6, like good health, I mean, all these are needed, good health, quality education, you know, water and all the stuff. But if you really look at it, how can we sustain our cities where we chose to live is the one that we are focusing for the next, 2-3 years and then presenting it. So how do we do it? So we hold talks in different cities. We have already done 7 or 8 talks in the last 2 years that we started doing it. So I was proposing that we do one here in the immediate term frame. And Ahmed Bhai has said, he can. So hopefully we'll do it sometime. So we'll talk about what is relevant to this city and then carry that message to other parts of the world. And then we actually establish working groups. How can we solve this problem? Share with the other people. We do some inter-design related projects which are related to this. Ultimately, we present a report. Every 2 years, we have this assembly where the new president is elected, presidents take over, and the new board members come. So that's where, we share to the global members what happened in the last 2 years and which kind of countries are worried about SDG and which cities are taking care of those. So that's a very important report that we share it to our members. And through the members, and today social media is very powerful, so we can actually publish, reports and people can learn and adopt. So this one is the last one we had in Torino. So where I became the president-elect. In our scenario, we don't elect the president for that year. We are waiting, we are learning for 2 years before we become ready to take on the mantle. And during these sessions, even though this is a closed session for members for the first day, on the second day of the assembly, we invite companies from across the globe who are really worried about, our objectives like sustainability.
More spectacular things. It just needs stuff that's better and meets a need.
Most business models don't last as long as they used to last. What got you here won't get you there.
We try to connect luxury brands that care about people and planet with consumers that care about the same things. Millennials, they want to belong to a pack, to a community, but they want to be different.
Educators are reporting that they have absolutely no problem in introducing sustainable development concepts.
We as designers tend to think about, yes, technology, but we're really much more focused on people.
And so how do we then engage and give meaningful input into this discussion around urbanization at a more meaningful level?
We were the first one in European Cycling Challenge. We brought the people together.
The decision makers live outside the city, and they say what the city needs to grow, and the people in the city are saying what we want is we want it to be greener.
Whatever we do, it has to be for the people. We have to see the people, we have to love the people, we have to have sympathy, compassion, empathy.
Never has design been more relevant to humanity's quest for sustainability in every sense of that word.
We create not just better product today, but also better
She's the current president.
and services, better cities. I'm so proud to become president of the World Design Organization.
Coming here, and with all these countries, we take back information that we replicate and we multiply.
I think what's actually more important is actually sharing those ideas with the rest of the world.
After WDO, I will be taking home mainly the inspiration.
Discussing issues, how we can really interact and engage our peers.
To connect young designers together to give them their place.
The World Design Organization has a wonderful passion, and it's great to see that in everyone that I've met.
We're trying very hard to ensure that the metrics by which we evaluate design are aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals, and at the end of the day, really trying to position the narrative around how design can make this big positive impact on our world.
So we are very active on our social media. Please take some time, especially the younger ones who are going to take care of us. So these are some of the pictures that have happened over the last couple of years. The one on that is Taipei, and the World Design Capital of Cape Town. So even a smaller city can become, even though they are not very well known, they can become, because the will has to be there. The political will and the citizens have to come together so they can make this happen. So this is the World Design Talks. We instituted this last 2 years ago, where we felt, we used to have a long 2-week worth of a program called Interdesign. An Interdesign where we solve the community problems. 40+ designers get together for a period of 2 weeks, and it's very difficult to get the designers to spend 2 weeks of their time together, so we actually miniaturized it in some form to bring this World Design Talks as a 1 or 2 day program. And these are some of the cities. And the topics that we covered were traffic congestion and mobility. These are all the traffic congestion capitals. Incidentally, Alpay, lots of credits to his #1. So again, he was the first guy to volunteer to do the traffic-related problems in Istanbul. That was the first ever program that we did as World Design
with the help
Talks.
of our friend Ahmet Güleç. Without their support, we couldn't do that.
Right.
I mean, the furniture manufacturers contributed to the very first World Design Talks in Istanbul. Thank you again.
Yeah, that was one of the great scenarios. Thank you. And then this is another very important program. We are not able to do it every year because of lack of quality programs. World Design Impact Prize is a prize which actually recognizes a solution that is solving the problems. Most of the time, marginalized communities, It is not meant for the rich people or well-to-do kind of communities, but the poor people, how their problems are solved, or for that matter, how is the healthcare related issues are solved. The one on the syringe, if you see, that was David Swan, from UK. He led a program where he said, this was in India, where 2/3 of the syringes that are being used for giving injections are found infected. So he came with the solution. If they are reusing it or if they are already infected, the color would automatically turn red. So therefore you can say, no, not that. I need another one, which will be green. So it was one of those, such a kind of solutions is what we recognize. There's an independent jury that goes and finds which is the most impactful prize, and then we offer. This other one was for water. in Tanzania, I believe. So that won a lot of awards after we gave them the award. They collect as a community in a deserted area. Water is collected together. They also made this a community place where they can get together, they can discuss their family issues, or the children can play around. So they made it a community center, but the key idea was to collect the rare rainwater that was going to be shared between the community. So we don't have those kind of problems. We cannot realize how difficult it is, but if you are, then you know how important it is to bring people together to share those resources. And then June 29th is our founding day of ICSID/WDO. So we converted that into a World Industrial Design Day. So anybody and everybody around the globe, we are encouraging them to celebrate World Industrial Design Day with somebody next to you, or go to a school. In one of the years, a couple of years ago, my company, Lumium, we actually went to a local school in Ahmedabad and told them to go to the dustbin. We told the school people not to throw the dustbin contents the previous day. And we went there on that 29th of June. We asked the school children, this is like, 5th grade to 8th grade, to do something about, whatever is there, create something out of the waste paper baskets, whatever contents are there. So that's, again, igniting the younger minds to do something in design. So that was one of our idea for one particular year. So we do that. Please do that. You don't have to be a member. Just share it with us. If you celebrate, June is coming soon. So once you do that, then we can actually put, you and your work on the map. Okay, this is how you can get connected. So thank you again for listening to me.
Thank you. SRİNİ,
yes.
Seni dinlerken aklıma, yani yaptığın bir iki noktada değindin. Şöyle bir delice bir soru geldi. Yani İstanbul, İzmir, herkes aday olabiliyor Türkiye'den. Niye İnegöl'deki sanayiciler, belediye, Dünya Tasarım Başkenti için başvurmasın? Yani böyle bir şeye başvurmanın kendisi bile, o süreç bile aslında paydaşları bir araya getirmesi. Çünkü bunu yapabildiğinizi gördük. Belki bunu gündeme getirmek lazım sizin adınıza. Bunu tartışmak lazım. Çünkü şu ana kadar Dünya Tasarım Başkenti'ne başvuran kentlerin hepsi çok büyük metropolisler. Yani milyonların yaşadığı kent. Ama bu ünvanın verilebilmesi için belli bir büyüklük şartı yok. Tasarıma adanmış, tasarımdan hayatını kazanan bir kent olarak İnegöl'de bence gayet uygun bir aday. Tabii en önemli etkinlik şu anda böyle bir adaylık için benim görebildiğim bu etkinliğin 5 yıldır yapılabilmiş olması. Çünkü şehrin ileri gelenlerinin, şehrin sanayisinin, belediye yerel yönetim önemli. Yerel seçimler de yakında. Bence belediye başkan adaylarını da şimdiden bağlayabilirsiniz. Biz böyle bir şeye gireceğiz, bütçesi de bu olur, ona göre oy vereceğiz diyerek bağlanabilir. Belki 2 veya önümüzdeki dönem için İnegöl'den bir aday çıkabilir gibi geliyor. Ne dersin?
Thank you, Alpay, for an excellent question. So as I was saying, when we became World Design Organization from ICSID, even during the ICSID time, we did have this denomination of World Design Capital. But as anything that happens, there were few cities who want to take the lead. And therefore, we had it in Torino, Seoul, and Helsinki, all the top-tier cities. Then came Cape Town, that really changed the jury's minds in terms of, they won against a much, much larger city and well-developed cities like Bilbao and Ireland. They won against these cities, and this proved that you don't have to be a certain metropolitan scenario. Most of the time, the smaller cities, it is not WDO's mandate that you have to be a certain size of cities in terms of certain budget. In fact, the program does not even dictate a budget that needs to be spent. The program is very simply put, how you, as a city of only 50,000 people or 5 million people, what you think design can do for your city, and how proud you are to demonstrate your capabilities of sustaining design for a whole year of time. So this is the two mandates that you need to worry about. Do you have enough muscles? Do you have enough power to sustain the design? Having one event for 5 years or 10 years is easy, but do you have enough energy to put together 365 days of celebration? And can you engage your citizens? It's not just, having, you will get your denomination, but if your citizens are not going to come to your event, they get kind of bored after like 3 events or 3 months, then you're not succeeded. So that is the only mandate that we request, we suggest, and the juries look at it. Does this city have enough energy to celebrate design for 365 days? Not only that, there's also a little bit of a misconception because you think like, that city spent, 7 million and these other people spent 13 million, so will I be standing in front of them? We don't have a budget saying this is a minimum budget. But if you already have, as a city, you already have allocated money for, every city has its own budgets for waste management, city planning, roads and other stuff. Put all them together under this budget. Have a little budget for the ceremonial aspects of it. Then you already have a budget. Out of the existing budget, you can add a little more, you can put a bid. In fact, I throw this as a challenge. March 31st is the last date, and you can put together something. I can help you in putting the formats and other stuff. You can download the application, www.org/World Design Capital 2022. Voila, you're ready.
SİRİNİ, 31 Mart'ta yerel seçimler var Türkiye'de. 31 Mart'tan önce böyle bir şeyi, yani kimse seçilmeden böyle bir taahhüdü yapmaz Türkiye'de. Belki bu seneyi biz kaçırdık gibi görünüyor. Ama bundan sonrası için sanırım İnegöllülerin aklına bir şeyler düşürdük. Ama bu hiçbir şey yapılamaz anlamına gelmiyor. Yani Türkiye'de ilk kez yaptık. 2016'da geçen Haziran ayında İzmir'de gerçekleştirdik. Elif burada videoda gördünüz. Elif Kocabıyık İzmir Ekonomi Üniversitesi'nden. Aynı zamanda WDO Community Liaison dediğimiz, yani yönetim kurulu üyesi değil ama hemen altında o ülkeyle ilgili işleri koordine etmeye yardımcı olan bir ofis, resmi pozisyonu da var WDO içerisinde Elif'in. Onlar da çok başarılı bir World Design Talk gerçekleştirdiler. Bir üçüncüsünü belki bu sene içerisinde niye İnegöl yapar? WDO üyesi kurumumuzun da başkanı burada. Yani böyle bir şey mümkün olursa, İnegöl'de olursa bir de bu. İstanbul, İzmir, İnegöl çok hoş olur diye düşünüyorum. Salondan sonra alabilir miyiz? WDO ve SİRİNİ hakkında. SİRİNİ sadece WDO'dan ibaret değil. SİRİNİ aynı zamanda dünyanın en hızlı büyüyen piyasalarından bir tanesini gözleme ve anlama yeteneğine sahip bir tasarımcı Hindistan. Evet, sorularınızı alalım. Buyurun.
I asked so many questions today, but one question that I'd like to ask, if we can go back to page 8, if possible, that because the question is related that while you are trying to do that, what I understand this WDO is focusing on some problems and try to address some design solution for these problems, what I understand, right? And so my question would be, are these the 6 problems you see today over the world, or this is the problems you are focusing? Because I spend a lot of time on this subject as well, and I don't see the major problem of the world right now in your list, which would be inequality. It's something, maybe it's not your organization's subject, it's something else, of course, but is it something you don't think is a problem, or is it something is not your organization focusing? Is one of my first problem, my first question. And second question is, not that one, the previous one. Yeah, this one. So I don't see the inequality in this list, that's the question one. And do you think the climate change, which is, I think, the most major problem of our humanity, which doesn't require organization. It's also above nations right now. One nation cannot solve this problem. So all the nations has to come together. And this is what I put in my book, you know, the younger generation, I believe, will solve this problem because they are coming in the same upper culture. They do all over the world the same. So you ask the people under age of 30, I'm sure people under age of 30, there's like 3 is like same. They are watching YouTubes, they are playing videos, they are communicating all together, they are interconnected. So the question is, do you think we passed the point of no return in climate change? What is your organization view on this?
Thank you for these wonderful questions and thought-provoking. So as far as the goals that we have taken, so we have actually followed the UN because we are a UN consultative organization in terms of spreading the message through design. So climate change, if we do not use design as a tool, we won't be able to solve is the message we are giving. Again, as a world body, as an advisory body, we as WDO do not undertake any specific project for ourselves because we are only a catalyst organization. So we have no budget nor money or staffing to do. We are not like the UN, which is kind of budgeted. What we are doing is we are echoing the UN messages through our megaphone, if you like, to go to different parts of the world. That's why I said, like, you know, these will be reverberating, you know, in different cities, different meetings forever, because we need to do that more often. So therefore, we also believe as a designer, what are you doing? Don't design for the sake of getting an award. I'm coming straight to that, you know, maybe offending some of the designers here. We are not designing for the sake of award. What can you do? As a product that you're designing, is it going to take care of climatic change a little bit? Then you've done your part. So drops make an ocean. Therefore, if you make a little bit of change in your design, aware of the fact, that goes for all the you know, wasting things and all the stuff. We basically need to be aware, because what are designers doing? Designers are actually creating new products and services and also new demand. Because if your product is a red dot winning product or an IF winning product, then there is more demand. People want to buy that. Supposing that's the wrong product, then you are actually contributing as a designer to the downfall of the world. So that's the message we want to give in a different tone, rather than we are the guys who are going to solve the problem. We never claim that we're going to solve the problem. We are saying this is what you need to be worried as designers. If you go back to our website, you will also see as a practicing designer what you should do, what you should not do. So this comes as a corollary to that, saying as a designer, be aware these are the main problems that the world is trying to solve. Don't add to the problems, is a message that is coming. And as far as your second question of inequality, there are two inequalities are there. One is the gender inequality. I don't know if you are referring to that. Or there is an economic inequality, because people are not really paying attention. They are only, that's where when we said maybe in the, okay. So if you really look at, to answer your other third, I'll come to this. These are the 7 that we have taken out of the 17, which are directly hitting design as we see it. So therefore, we have taken this. In terms of the inequality of, so there is income inequality is there as one of the goals. So perhaps we will take it after the second report, because we adopted it. We became World Design Organization 2 years ago, and then we adopted the first 7 goals which are directly involved with that, and then subsequently we will definitely take that. And wherever I go, I always talk about how a city is taking care of its poor people rather than the rich people. So in fact, one of the criteria that, you know, I talk about when they are asking cities to bid for World Design Capital, I as an ambassador of World Design Organization, I actually urge the city to put in their bid how the city is treating its poor people, the marginalized community. Therefore, the inequality is slightly balanced better than what it was before.
Başka soru var mı salonda? SİRİNİ için. Yok galiba. gereken bir soru soracağım.
So don't be constrained by the absence of a lack of time. I'm always available to reply to you on an email. SRİNİ@wdo.org will reach me wherever I am, and you will get a reply within 24 hours, because sometimes I'll be there on a plane for 18 hours from the time you wrote the question to me. So.
Dün akşam yemekte bana Hindistan'daki mobilya olayı nasıldı onun zamanında onu anlattı. İsterseniz onu dinleyerek bitirelim. Çünkü bana anlatırken ahşabın kokusundan, boyanın kokusundan bahsetti. Bir çocukluk anısı. Bizimle paylaşır mısın tekrar?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this was just a fun discussion, so I'm happy to share it. So back in the, probably I'm saying 60s, 70s, up to 80s, I grew up in Chennai. I was born, but I went to North, and my dad was in the Air Force. We were moving all around. The concept of furniture was not there in India, even as late as even 70s. When I say furniture, you go and get an apartment on rent, there won't be anything. It will be just simply bare walls. Maybe there's a kitchen counter because you need to cook and eat. Then came the concept of where do they sleep? They used to have the mattresses which are made of cotton, no spring mattresses, and we roll them and put them behind in a corner and put a nice little bed sheet or a chadar or a quilt to cover it. So if you came into my house and it's in the corner, there's no problem. We don't have to hide it. We just know that this is going to be used. If you came and you wanted to stay tonight, we will take one more extra and roll it for you and say, this is your place. So that is how the furniture was there. And people were very happy with this kind of furniture. Then came the era of saying, we should have a bed, we should have a almirah to store our things, and we need to do. So in those days, during my grandfather's time, so he was actually working in the Indian Railways. So generally the Indian Railways, you have a staff quarters, so there's a lot of space around. So we used to buy, my grandfather used to buy wood, hardwood. He will go and choose the teak wood because he thinks teak is the most important, very long-lasting wood, or a rose wood. And then he also invested in the tools. I still remember, we used to have the chisels, like 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and all that stuff. And we used to make the glue by ourselves, We take the glue, we have to heat it in a used, food tin or something and leave it out. And then as helpers or like people like me, right, all grandkids, hey, you come here and hold it. And so there was no planing tools. It was just you have to hand plane. And then whatever design is, we used to engage carpenters, pay them, like a hajri, like everyday labor, 20 rupees or 15 rupees. And then whatever design that my grandfather will say, I need this, okay, the cot should be, the room size is so much, 5 1/4. We don't have follow any 6 feet. 5 1/4 is good enough because the room is only 6.5 feet. So we do all these kind of measurements. Not only that, if you want to paint it, then we take the varnish and we take a used dhoti, the cloth, and keep on doing with the hand. So we are the polishers of that. And then the whole house would be smelling of varnish and paint, for the next, 1 month. But we need to do that kind of stuff and clean the floor. Furniture design was really just not in my house. It is the normal way of doing things. Then came, if you go to Mumbai, how many of you have been to Mumbai? Okay, next time you go to Mumbai, ask the cab guy or the host to take you to Bandra. There's a place called Bandra. On the sidewalks of Bandra, they still make furniture, handmade furniture, and they will be selling it. They will take a tempo and they will, all using so much large bed and other stuff, they will move it to your house. So that's how we learned furniture. So I can tell proudly as a furniture designer, furniture maker, I have done a lot of planing for the wood, plywood and other stuff.
Teşekkürler. Buradan bir iş modeli çıkar aslında. İşte kullanıcı katılımı, user participation falan diyoruz. 2 yönlü iş modeli diyoruz falan. Yani her şeyi siz alıyorsunuz, malzemeyi alıyorsunuz. Adamlar geliyorlar, yapıyorlar. Malzemeyi de bırakıyorlar. Ellerindeki alet edevat da sizin. Çok ilginç bir mobilya yapım yöntemi. Bir şey çıkar mı buradan bilmiyorum artık. Bu da sizlere kalmış diyorum ve bu oturumu kapatarak sanırım günü de sonlandırıyorum. Bütün emeği geçenlere, başta İMOS çalışanları, Bilal, Sayın Başkanımız, Hüseyin Bey her zamanki gibi. Hüseyin Bey ben yani İnegöl deyince artık aklıma Hüseyin Yıldız geliyor. İki konuda örnek alınması gerektiğini düşünüyorum. Bir tanesi çocuklarına vermek istediği özgüven ve bütün bu sosyal ortamlara getirişi başından beri çok takdir ediyorum. Ve sektörüne ve içinde bulunduğu komüniteye, topluma vermek istediği o katkı, bu konuda ben kendisini takdir ediyorum, teşekkür ediyorum. Evet, iyi akşamlar herkese.